Hi, welcome to Scrapbook Pal. I'm Kara, and today we are going to create a Mother's Day card using Lawn Fawn's Swan Soiree and the coordinating dies, and then the Bayou backdrop and little parts from there. I'm not going to use all of those, but some of them. And then the cattails border. And these are the Lawn Fawn stencils, the hillside stencils. So I'm going to start by using the hillside stencils, and they have lines on there that help match up where I want to put those on my card. So they have lines at the 5.5 inch and also at the 4.25 inch. So you can do it landscape or portrait, which either way works. And so I lined those up. And I'm just temporarily taping everything down. So I'm going to create right here the pond. Now there are many ways to create a pond for the swan. One is in the stamp set. There's a lot of different ways, but I'm going to ink blend one using the new Lawn Fawn Kiddie Pool ink. And I'm using blender brush just to blend that out, and it's a very light ink, which is what I was looking for this pond. And I wanted a bigger pond because I have a few swans to put on here. This is going to be a card for my husband's mother for Mother's Day, and she had 4 kids. So we needed 4 swans on there, 4 baby swans. All right, wiping that off. This is why I like the lines on the stencil, because I can line it right back up, and the opposite side is now a mask for my pond, and I can ink blend the ground around it. And this one I'm using Distress ink, and I'm using brushed corduroy for that. So just blending that all on. One thing I like to do when I put stencils down is to lift the mat up like they're on a hinge to see if I like it. So I can put it down if I want, but that looked good to me. So now I'm going to start on the top ground, and again with the brushed corduroy. And then after I have this all blended out the way I want it, I realized I wanted to put a little texture on the ground. So I'm going to just smush that brush corduroy down, put a little water on it, and then take an old paintbrush and flick that all over. And I'm making very little flicking dots as the sand. I did that on the bottom of the sand as well. But let's get on to the cattails and the bayou. I don't know, is it moss? Spanish moss, maybe? Anyway, I'm using Distress ink Mowed Lawn here and giving it I'm kind of coming from the left so that I can give it a little shadow, kind of. But I looked at them together and decided I needed some more, so I'm now pulling out the Distress ink in peeled paint and going all the way around with that as well, just to give it a little more depth with a couple of color variations. And I'm going to go around the entire panel here, and now up onto the cattails. And I started with colored paper because I don't have to blend as much. I just use that as my starting point. Now here are the cattail tops, the brown part, and I put them on a piece of tape and tape that down, and I'm pouncing on the brushed corduroy and giving it more of a texture. That's why I'm showing it to you so close. Then I take the gathered twigs and I do the same thing. I'm just pouncing on, and it gives it a nice texture. All right, using the swan who has the eyelash, because that's going to be the mom, and the 3 babies, and I'm going to stamp an extra baby as well. Like I said, my mother-in-law had 4 children. So this is a nice way, if you're going to make a Mother's Day card out of this, you can You can make it specific. And this set also has things for weddings. It's a very versatile set. I love it. Okay, I used River Rock from Lawn Fawn to ink that up and stamp them, and that is Copic friendly. I wanted a lighter gray instead of black for these to keep it soft. And you see that I have that swan above already colored, but this is the same swan, so I'm showing it here. I started by finding my shadows with a C1, coming in with a C3 to darken those shadows, blending that out with a C1, and then blending that out further with the C00. And when I come back in with the C3, I'm going to put in a texture, because these are fuzzy little babies, and then tap some more in with the C1 right over the C3, and keeping that in the shadow areas. And then I did the same base, C1 to C3, back to C1, darkening up with the C3, blending it out with the C1 with that texture kind of dotty look, and then we'll move on down to the other one. So this last one I did the same way. Put in the shadows, put it in darker with the C3, blended it out with the C1, came back in with the C3 to re-darken up those shadows and kind of textured my way out into the light, and then blended a little bit with the C00. So Mama Swan, and she has a C0 I'm starting with to find my shadows here, and under her wing, and giving her just a little bit more on as those feathers would move back. And I liked where my shadows were, so I'm coming in with the C1 under the wing and on the side that I'm saying my light source is coming from the upper right, so she's going to have shadow on the left. And I'm trying to keep it very white, so I'm really not going to do a lot of shading on the swan. And I want her shadows to really fade into white. So I have my C0 and now the C00. And I'm keeping it close to those shadow areas, but trying to blend it into the white area. All right, she's all set, and I'm putting in some C3 for the baby swans on their beaks, and C5. I had to look to see, well, I Googled them. What do baby swans look like? It's been a long time since I've seen swans, and so it looked, at least the swans I saw, just had kind of a black beak. Now, Mama Swan, she had some orange and then a little black at the top. And so that's what I'm doing here. The C5 is as dark as I go. And then I kind of wanted to blend the two together. So I took that YR16 and pulled out the black a little bit. So little details, but then I cut them out with the coordinating dies, and they are ready to swim on our card. So, putting this card together, I had to decide where to arrange everything. I have a couple of things I can play with here, like the cattails. Do they need to go up or down a little bit? Does the pond, I've got about a 1/4 inch that it could go up or down because I have some room under the bayou backdrop. And I also had to decide where these swans were going to swim because I wanted them all kind of grouping around Mom. Decided that guy in the back there, he didn't want to straggle. We'll see. They swim around a little bit more before we're done. Okay, so I cut off a 1/4 inch from the cattail border. Now that border could be as big as you want it to be. I mean, you can have as much room underneath. But now I'm just going to glue everything down. I have my glue tube, and kind of escaped me a little there, but it all worked out. And then I used the tape runner, the Tombow Mono Dot Runner, to put down the cattail border. But with this bayou backdrop, it's nice to have glue kind of to give me a little room to move it around so that I know that it's all square on the card or on the panel. So now I can put in the swans, and you can see that swan behind Mom kind of moved to the side of Mom because, we don't want that one to be left behind. And adhere down Mama Swan. And then I adhered the other two as well. So there he is with his siblings. That's the baby. Nope. Oh, there we go. Well, that's the fun about card making. You can put them where you want. All right, well, I am now just putting the brown parts of the cattails together, and so putting some glue on the tops of those. I had cut out some lighter green cattails as well, but decided not to use those. I thought it was busy enough and kind of balanced with the Spanish moss at the top, or the ivy, or whatever that is, with the cattails below. But I will put some of the light green grass that comes with the bayou backdrop down by the cattails, just to break up that color a little bit and give it more interest down there. So just glue those on. And then I went back and forth as to how I wanted to do the sentiment, and I ended up deciding to use this speech bubble from Fawn, and the sentiment comes from the Swan Soiree stamp set, and this one just says, I just want to say, and then on the inside of the card will be the rest of the message. But I stamped this with clear embossing ink, and then I'm going to use white embossing powder, also from Fawn, sprinkle that on, and then off camera I'm going to heat that until it melts, and there it is. And so I put some foam tape underneath it, and now I'm just adjusting it to the right place, and then I'll clip off the extra there. This card is going to be from my husband to his mom, so I was kind of going with more boy colors. Well, sort of. I mean, an aqua blue. Anybody can do aqua blue. Anybody can do pink. I just thought I'll stick with traditional boy colors so that it's from him to his mom. So inside, I use the rest of the sentiment, which is saying, have a beautiful Mother's Day. And these stamps are so easy to line up because they come on like rectangles. Even the bigger sentiments have where you can link up the rectangle to it, kind of shown on there. So it's so easy to put these together. But this is Peacock ink, also Fawn, and it's stamped. I stamped it twice, so it came out beautifully. And I'm putting it on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card. Just going to use my adhesive and adhere that, line that up. And I'm looking at the card and I think, yeah, okay, it's missing something. So out came the lily pads and the lotus flowers. And yes, we're going pink with these. So RV 21, 23, and 25. Just kind of putting in some color and then blending it out. YG 01, 03, and 05 for the lily pads. And then I'll cut these out with the coordinating dies. And these are also from Swan Soiree. And I think this will give it just the right amount of color that I need for this. It was kind of all green and blue and brown, and now just to get that pop of color, I think it was a good way to add a little more interest to the card. Sometimes these little details just make the card a little more special, and for a mom, especially my mother-in-law, she deserves something very special. Well, I hope you enjoyed the card today and maybe got some ideas about ink blending a background using stencils and putting them together with die cuts to create a scene. Well, if you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye!